Okay, so today we're going to be looking at graphing from the form f of x is equal to a times quantity x minus h squared plus k. So hopefully we realize that this is the same form that we were looking at in chapter 2 that dealt with translations. And we should know what the a, the h, and the k do. However, we're going to go back and we're going to review them a little bit because I know some people it wasn't quite as clear as I was hoping. Okay, so again, we're going to start with this parent function of x squared, and how would I graph that? Hopefully we realize that the vertex of this parent function is going to be at 0, 0. So that would be our vertex. And then how do we go about graphing from there? Hopefully by the end of this, we can realize that the easy way is by using a pattern. And that pattern comes from our perfect squares. And our perfect squares are 1, a 4, a 9, a 16, a 25. If I look at the differences of those, first of all, I should have started with 0. 0 is a perfect square. If I look at the differences there, the difference between 0 and 1 is 1. 1 and 4 is a 3. 4 and a 9 is a 5. 9 and 16 is 7, 16 and 25 is a 7. Okay, if you see, it's odds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That pattern will hold for these graphing now. So how do I do it? How do I use it? Well, I know that on my first move, I'm going to go up 1 and over 1. On my second one, I'm going to go up 3 over 1. So from here, I'm going to go up 3 and over 1. On the next one, I would go up 5 and over a 1. So I'd go up 5 and over a 1. The graph can't go any farther, so that's where I'd stop. However, we should realize that these parabolas are symmetric, and our axis of symmetry in this case, as it always is, goes to the vertex. So in this case, the vertex is our origin. So we know that's symmetric across the y-axis. So I'd have these points graphed, and then I can make my nice parabola. Okay, so the axis of symmetry is a line, always is going to start with an x equals, and in this case it's x equals 0. And if you're wondering, would I dock you if you didn't have the x0 or x equals, and the answer would be yes, I would dock you. Okay, min or max, in this case there's a minimum. What is that minimum? I would say it is 0 when x equals 0. Okay. Again, that same verbiage that we used in that last chapter. Okay, this next one, x squared minus a 4. So again, if we look at this k, we should remember moves it up or down. Okay, the h is a left or right shift. Okay, so keep that in mind as we work through here. For this one, this minus 4, hopefully we can see that that's a shift down 4. So again, what does that do? It simply moves my vertex down 4. Since it is a x squared again, the pattern stays the same. What pattern am I referring to? That up 1 over 1, the up 3 over 1, the up 5 over 1, and then the up 7 over 1 if you can fit it on your graph. So again, up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, and up 5 over 1, and up 7, I would be off my graph, so that's where I'd stop. Again, my axis of symmetry in this case goes right through the vertex and is y or x equals 0, the y-axis. If I mirror them across, these are the points that I'd be getting, and if I graph it, it would look like so. In this case, what is the vertex? The vertex in this case is a 0, negative 4. The axis of symmetry, again, x equals, and x equals a 0. And what is it again? In this case, it's going to be a minimum again. And what would I say the minimum is? Negative 4 when x equals 0. Okay. The next one, If I looked at this one, hopefully we can see that that -2 or that -2 now is going to be shifting it to the, you're right, to the right. So 2 to the right is what I'm shifting it. 2 to the right. So my vertex is now at 2, 0. So I could write that in right away, 2, 0. So my vertex is 2, 0. Now, what's the pattern it's going to follow? This A term right here is a 1. That tells me it's going to stay standard pattern of 1 over 1, 3 over 1, 5 over a 1. So from this vertex, I go up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1. Now, what do I need? I need to draw my axis of symmetry that goes through my vertex so that I can see what I'm mirroring across. So I mirror across here, across to here, across to here. And draw my nice curve, and there you have it. So what are the pieces I'm missing? Well, my axis of symmetry, yes, you're right, x equals, and x equals a 2 in this case. What do I have in this case? I've got another minimum. And what is that minimum? That minimum is 0 when x equals a 2. Okay, hopefully this is making sense to us as we keep moving here. So now what we have one where we got two different shifts. Hopefully we can see that this +3 is a shift left 3. This +1 is a shift up 1. So again, it would go left 3, up 1. There would be my vertex. What's that vertex? That vertex is a -3, +1. Okay, I draw in my axis of symmetry if you want. So that axis of symmetry is x equals -3. If I follow my pattern, since the a value here is a 1, same standard pattern, up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1, mirror them across, and you have your points, graph your points, and you got that nice pretty parabola. What would it be this time? Our minimum is a 1 when x equals a -3. Okay, next one. I want you to try to do this one on your own, pause it, and then come back to it. Okay, hopefully we could see that it's a shift right 5 and down 6. So our vertex would be right here, which would be 5, -6. Okay, the axis of symmetry then would be x equals a 5. You can draw in the axis of symmetry, and you should draw in the axis of symmetry because it's a great visual when you go to graph it. Since the a again is equal to a 1, our standard pattern applies. So we'd go up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1, up 7. I could get 7 this time. 7 over 1. If I mirror those across, I would be here, it would be here, here, and here. So I got this nice parabola like so. What would I have this time? Again, I'd have a minimum. That minimum would be a -6 when x equals 5. Okay, hopefully it's starting to click. Okay, let's do this one. Now I have a term that's different than a 1, which is good. We need to see something different. So first of all, what's the shift? This -3, we should know there's a shift right 3. The +4 is up 4. So I go right 3, up 4. I know already my vertex is a -3, or excuse me, a +3, 4. +3, 4. Which means my axis of symmetry is x equals a 3. Now, the only thing is, what's the pattern? Well, my standard pattern when a is equal to a 1 is at 1, 3, 5, 7. If a equals a -2, I simply take the pattern of 1, 3, 5, 7 and multiply them all by a -2. So all these are simply getting multiplied by a -2, and that's telling me my moves. So I got a -2, a -6, a -10, a -14. So if I were to start at this point, that would tell me I'm going to go down 2 over 1. I'm going to go down 6 and over 1. And then if I could, I would go down 10 and over 1. So I could mirror my points across, and this is going to be the general shape of that parabola. Okay, so what's my min or max? In this case, it's a maximum. What's the maximum? It's a 4 when x equals a 3. Okay, so hopefully that one made sense to us. Let's look at one more. Okay, this one. Hopefully we start +4. We're going to let the shift left 4, and the -2 tells us down 2. So my vertex right away, a -4, -2, which tells me my axis of symmetry is x equals a -4. I can sketch in my axis, and now we should be thinking of what's the pattern going to do now. Well, again, standard pattern of a equals 1 is 1, 3, 5, 7. If a is equal to a 1/2, I'm simply taking that standard pattern and I'm going to multiply everything times a half. Okay, so this tells me I'm going to go up a half over 1. I'm going to go up 1.5 over 1. I'm going to go up 2.5 over 1. I'm going to go up 3.5 over 1. So what's that going to look like? Up a half over a 1. Up 1.5 over a 1. Up 2.5 over 1. Up 3.5 over 1. Okay? And I could mirror those points across my axis of symmetry. Again, this may be a little more work than the other ones, but still not that difficult in the grand scheme of graphing. And you got these nice, neat points, as simple as that. So again, this time I got a back to a minimum. That minimum in this case is a -2 when x equals a -4. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. The next thing we're going to cover in the next video is how to get to this form.